We're getting towards the end. Akiko's going to finish up this part of the presentation, so if you have questions, now's the time to write them down. We have a few more minutes for her to finish this up, and then we'll go to the question part of our presentation tonight.
Thank you. And excuse me, and if you pass those to the aisle, those question cards, we'll collect.
Questions would be great, so we know what more. This for sure we wanted to talk to you about tonight. So we identify 7 barriers to race conversations. So these are the things that seem to get in our way, but we can work on to change those barriers into power. So when we see race being an issue in the society, we hear negative news. And we've had a lot of those recently in the history too. So we feel anger. Anger is a barrier to having a race conversation in a productive way. Maybe in a non-productive way, anger would work. But anger does not work for productive, constructive, positive race conversation. Anger won't do it. I'm not saying we shouldn't feel anger, but we can use anger to create a different type of power, energy, to do it. So other barriers seem to be shame. Shame-based conversation never goes to a good place. Fear, blame, guilt, danger we feel, or apology that we feel that we have to make. These 7 things often become barriers. Here's what we propose. Turning these 7 barriers into 7 powers for race conversation. So I'll take the anger example again. How do you change anger into empathy? There are different things we can do, different approaches we can take. But for example, you see something race-related news on TV. And it's violent, it's horrible, it's sad. Maybe you can recall one of those things, right? You feel anger. But if you only operate based on anger, you're not going to have positive impact in the society. You're not going to have a positive race conversation. To balance that out, you try, I'm going to, can you go to the very last slide, second to the last? What you look for is, what is it that I can find, even imagine, in that person that I'm angry at, that I share? What's in common between that person on the news and me? Yes. So these are the 6-step process that we would love for you to try out. Step 1, identify which barrier is at play. Say anger is at play. Step 2, identify which power to develop. So we want to turn anger into empathy. Step 3, identify differences. Yes, this person just shot someone. I'm angry, I don't like that. I don't like killing. I don't like violence. I'm sad and angry. That's the difference between me and that person on the news. Step 4, identify possible similarities. Anything will do. It's like a magic, so please try this out. That man on news, maybe he has kids. I wonder if he loves his kids. I have kids, I love my kids. That silly little piece that you identify, which may or may not be true, is going to plant a small seed in you, seed of empathy. When you begin to balance anger out with empathy, something changes, clicks, and flips inside you. Who would have different motivation to talk about race? So step 5, confirm that the barrier and the power are both in you. Anger is in you, it's okay. But empathy is growing now in you also. So confirm that. And step 6. And then now, what do I want to do about it? How do I want to talk about that news? You make a conscious decision about that. So that's the little activity or skill that we are wanting to propose to you tonight, to take home with you and test out. Flip on the TV, watch something that will evoke some feeling in you, and try this out, and see what happens in you. And think about what it's like to have a race conversation with your neighbors or your friends in the room. So there are a lot of more things that we would love to talk to you about, but that's it.
Here's what they want to hear.
Yes.
So in addition, this slide presentation will be on our church website. You can access it. If you have friends or family members that weren't able to be here tonight, a YouTube video of this presentation will also be linked on our website. You can send them. So, how do you bring up race diplomatically? Question number 1. With just somebody, do you say, where are you from, Orange County, or where are your people from, which seems like I'm a racist? That's the question. How do you bring it up?
Yeah, I know, it's tricky, isn't it? But I'm going to ask you this. When you don't ask that question, would the other person know that you chose not to ask? Yeah. So you have to know yourself, okay, how much can I push myself to ask a potentially uncomfortable question or sensitive question? And you have to pay attention to who you are asking to. So imagine being on the receiving end of the question, right? What would I feel like? So there are many things you can try, but one I would share with you is to begin with you sharing. I had this one high school principal that I worked with a few years ago, who was a white, female, very well educated, very respected school educational leader. Halfway through our coaching process with me, I was talking about this and that, and I said, something about me trying to, learn how to work professionally in the U.S. See, I'm Japanese. So, and then she goes, wait. You mean you're adjusting to me? To us? Yeah, because I don't live in my country. I live in the U.S., so I have to behave in certain ways so that I look professional enough, right? So you will hire me. She said, you mean we have culture? Yes! I have culture? Yes, you do! That was an aha moment. So it's not about asking some exotic looking person where they come from. It's about you sharing where you come from. Yes, white, male, female, born and raised in Minnesota. Yes, you have culture, you have race, you have heritage, you have your own language. So that would be one.
I'd like to respond to that too. One really quick way to start that conversation is to say, hey, I'm a white man from the U.S. I'd like to ask a question about X. I'd like to ask a question about culture, or I'd like to ask a question about race. And to put yourself in student mode and to put them in teacher mode. Many times people like to play teacher mode. So if you're willing to put yourself in the student mode, I think people are oftentimes willing to have a conversation in those two different roles.